quid pro quo the moment you have corporate
Exactly,
donations.
exactly, brother. There is no
But
doubt about it.
therefore, I mean,
That's why.
a large public limited company who makes a donation doesn't give it for charity.
Exactly, exactly.
Or for, for
That's why I said
perpetrating the
capital
cause
and
of
influence
election.
are Siamese twins, man. That what you're doing in this process is that you are allowing through the electoral bond process to not inform the shareholder as to how his money is going to be spent. Right? And that's a very serious issue because he is invested in the company not for the purposes of donating to X and Y. That's the third concept. The fourth is even more important. This is nothing to do with electoral bonds, if you ask me. It is donation to a political party to use the funds as they like. The nomenclature suggests electoral bonds means this is for the purposes of the election. There is nothing in the scheme. There is nothing in the scheme which connects the donation made to the participation in the electoral process. Nothing. It is a means for political parties to be enriched. Why do I say that? I make a donation of 10 crores to a political party through an electoral bond. The political party opens a current account and 10 crores goes into that account. Now that political party can actually give that money to the mainstream media channel and say, you propagate my ideology. Or give a present to somebody. Or do what you want to do with it.
There are no spending requirements.
None, zero. That's the most serious issue. Because you can spend this money any way you like. You can build your offices. You can build your offices all over the country with that money. You can set up a whole internet network throughout the country with that money. You can use advertising campaign for whatever you like with that money. Show your face 20 times a day. And see the nexus. The corporate sector gives money to the political party. The political party and the corporate sector owns a media house. And just look at the nexus. The corporate donor owns the media house. The corporate donor gives it to the political party. The political party uses the media house. No questions asked.
Constitutional argument. Going Ballard on some
No.
instances.
I'm not talking of any instance. I'm talking about the scheme. Please do not interfere. I'm talking about the scheme. I'm not talking about any instance. That's the law.
But
this is, of course, hopefully it is.
Yeah, of course.
I thought we were sitting before 5 judges. I thought I realized by now it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, thank you. Got to know about it from you.
The Article 14 argument.
Yes. Yes, Millard. The scheme is wholly arbitrary. It has to be struck down on its terms. It has nothing to do only with elections and how you spend your money in the electoral process. Now, let's kindly have a look at volume 4 and PDF 142. These are FAQs, Millard, that were asked where the scheme was from the SBI.
142.
140. Yeah, first I'll show you, Millard. 130. 138. Which is a given, Millard. Actually, I need not even mention this. At 138, the question is, what is the minimum and maximum limit for donation? The minimum amount for donation is 1,000. There is no maximum amount.
138, Mr. Sibal.
Question, Millard, at 31.
31.
Yeah. Just note it, Millard. We should know, you know about it already.
Yeah, that's okay.
Now come to 142. 142, question 6. Can a political party use this current account for other operations also? Answer is yes. Next question is 9. Can political party close this current account after the election? The account can be continued for normal banking operations. However, if required, the account can be closed at any time by the political party.
What are you hinting at, Mr.?
I'm sorry?
What are you hinting at?
The issue which we were just discussing, on which perhaps the learned attorney may give us an answer, but since Mr. Sibal is on his leg, we will just put it to him, Mr. Attorney, and Mr. Solicitor, you can also, in your turn, you can answer. Suppose A purchases the bond.
Yes.
A purchases bonds worth X amount, 100 crores.
Yes,
A is only the person who's been put up to purchase the bond because
That's
that
awesome.
A has a KYC, etc.
yes, yes, yes,
A has to only physically hand over the bond to B,
yes,
right? Who's in, or B gives it to C, who will in turn give it to a political party.
correct.
Now, B, there is no control over the transaction between A and B.
Yes,
So B can trade on that bond for cash or for
Yeah.
whatever other consideration.
yes, yes,
B acquires that bond.
yes,
B hands it over to a political party.
yes,
Or B gives it to C and C hands it over to the political party.
yes,
The person who has satisfied the requirement of the transaction being through the normal banking channels is A, the purchaser, the ostensible purchaser of the bond.
correct.
But this does not obviate the fact that the people who are really
Behind it.
behind it,
Yes,
that they have used authorized banking channels.
yes.
All that they have to do is that the
Get somebody's
it says
KYC.
trading is prohibited,
Yeah.
but there's no way you can prohibit trading in the
Absolutely.
bond.
Absolutely. Mullah.
B doesn't have to buy the bond from
No, he
A
doesn't.
through official banking
No, no,
channels
no.
because there is no record of any transactions in the bond. It just goes from hand to hand.
That's right.
Because of the curtain, then you cannot be any questions with regard to quid pro quo.
That's right. And then, Mullah, ultimately, the person who is actually invested in it is the person who will tell the political party. Who's the holder ultimately?
No. In this case, probably they'll know who's the
Could be
purchaser.
B or C.
They'll know the purchaser, but the actual purchaser is A.
Exactly.
Whereas in the KYC, etc., A is the one who's.
That's right. Absolutely right. So, Mullah, it perpetuates.
Also, B may be an aggregator of the bonds.
That also.
By having 10 different people subscribe to 100 different people subscribe to a bonds worth 1 crore each.
That's right. Well, there the human, at least the Indian human mind is ingenious in these matters. We control the economy of the world in many ways. And the RBI raised these concerns repeatedly. We now look at question C, frequently asked questions FAQ, page 138. Question number 36.
128.
138, question 36. My lord has that? Who is the bona fide owner of the electoral bond? Okay. PDF 138. Who is the electoral owner of that? Who is the bona fide owner of that bond? Electoral bonds are bearer banking instruments. It's exactly what my lord the Chief Justice said. And the holder of electoral bonds is the bona fide owner of the same. Every scheme must have a legitimate object. What's the legitimate object here? Which is constitutional. The scheme must be such, it must be proportionate to the object sought to be achieved. And the underlying principle under the Constitution is free and fair election, which is a basic feature of the Constitution. How are you serving these three purposes, Malas? You are serving none of these three. No legitimate object because it is not limited to the elections. No proportionality because it's unlimited. And no free and fair elections because my learned friend has shown to your lordships how heavily it is loaded towards the party in power. So you are creating a non-level playing field through the electoral bonds. And that's violative of 324. Now, Malas, historically, as your lordship knows, Malas, in 1969, through legislation, we had prohibited corporate donations altogether. And then 1985, through an amendment, we said, okay, the corporate sector can donate, but only to the extent of 5% of the average earnings in the last 3 years, 3 financial years.
5% or 7.5%?
I'm sorry? Initially 5%. Whereas 85 was 5%. Then through an amendment, it was 2013 Act, it was changed to 7.5. 13. The Companies Act. Well, actually, I've put it all in the written submissions, but because my learned colleagues are waiting for me to end, so I'm not wanting to take their time. Well, your lordships have said that do it, be as short as possible. But whatever I have said to your lordships, Malaj, are the propositions that emerge from the scheme itself.
Mr. Sibal's submissions are in which volume?
Volume 1.
Again, volume 1, right?
Yes,
Yes,
volume 1. All the submissions.
All the
are in
submissions
volume
are.
1.
Yes, we got
And it's page 48,
48. Yeah.
PDF 48. And if you just, I'll take few minutes, Malad, then I'll be done, because my learned friends, I want to give them time to. The first, Malad, few pages are just the scheme itself, the electoral bond scheme itself, goes up to PDF page 63. My lords have that. It's just the elements of the electoral bond scheme which have already been explained to your lordships. So I will not trouble your lordships with that. That's been explained. But you come to 63, then I deal with the issue of free and fair elections under the Constitution. And I say it's the basic feature of the Constitution. And it's now recognized that para 15, I say, as will be developed below, any nature of funding that is opaque and that seeks to hide the source of funding is contrary to the spirit of free and fair elections, which is part of the basic structure. That's the transparency argument, plus the free and fair in the context of which, in the context of my submissions before your lordships now. Then election is a vehicle of representative democracy. I've given judgments, page 66, and then para 17 at 66 is the constitutional mandate of free and fair elections under the principle of universal adult franchise is the central pillar of our democratic culture. Under our political system, elected representatives do not have any political legitimacy independent of the will of the people and must discharge their duties in public trust. Well,